Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am your co-host Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are continuing our 7-round mock draft series with the Minnesota Vikings. But before we get into that, if you have not already, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell so you can get notified when Ryan and I create new content. We have a goal of getting to 1,000 subscribers by April 27th, which is the NFL draft night, and we are currently sitting at 684, which we have gotten over 100 subscribers since we have started this 7-round mock draft series. So help us out to reach our goal. It's the easiest way to help out the channel and join our growing community. And Ryan, get into it.
Let's do it.
Minnesota Vikings, very interesting 2022 season. They won the division. However, it was a very interesting fashion on how they did it, and then unfortunately got upset in the playoffs. And so they're picking 24th overall in the first round. And who do we have them selecting here in the short few picks that they have?
So at 24 overall, we have the Minnesota Vikings selecting edge rusher Myles Murphy. And I like this pick. They need defensive line help really, really bad, as well as people who can get after the passer. And Myles Murphy is one of the most well-rounded edges in this draft class. He is really good at setting the edge, helping linebackers really get depth past the line of scrimmage and hit ball carriers early. He's really good at bending around the edge to get around tackles, to get to the quarterback. And I just like this pick a lot. He's a very versatile guy, and I think he's a plug-and-play starter day one for them. So.
No, I like it a lot. Myles Murphy is very just on where he's going to be drafted. Where do you guys value him? Because he is a little raw, but he has so much potential. Like I remember when we came into this offseason, he was considered maybe a top 5 pick. But then he's slowly fallen off his board, just seeing how much, a little bit more development that he has. So I think getting him here, and then you have Brian Flores now as your defensive coordinator. If he can fall this far, I think that would be a great pick, and I think he can mold him into a great defensive end. We saw what he did with a lot of his young players at Miami when he was the head coach there. So moving on then to another great piece. He's a little bit different type of edge rusher, but we thought it was great value at their next pick, which is pick 88, Keon White out of Georgia Tech. He's a little bit of a bigger edge rusher, might be able to even kick inside. But I think he is going to be a guy who can get after the pass rush. He can get after the QB, bring a hefty pass rush. And another guy I think that Brian Flores can mold into a great lineman, just defensive lineman in general, whether it's maybe a little bit more on the interior or if they want to kick him out on the outside. I don't see him being a guy that can drop back into coverage. However, I can see Myles Murphy maybe playing an edge outside linebacker role eventually and drop back into coverage sometimes. Keon White, though, is, I think, too big for that, and I think he's going to be purely just a defensive lineman.
So I think he is in that range where he's athletic enough to be a 4-3 edge, but he's also big enough to be a 3-4 edge. And honestly, my comparison for him is actually Trey Flowers, the Patriots' old edge rusher that played in Detroit. And he's 6'5", has really good length, and he's just really athletic for a guy that's 6'5", 285. And to me, especially with how bad this defense was, double dipping here at the edge rushing position this early on is going to be really important. I really like both of these edge rushers that they've taken so far, and I think Keon White in a Brian Flores system would find a lot of success actually. And I like this pick here at 88. So, and then next up, sticking with that front seven theme at pick 120. Also, if you notice that our picks are slightly off, the draft tool that we use to create this 7-round mock draft counted forfeited picks. So, for example, the Miami pick at 21 that is forfeited was counted as an actual pick. So it might be 1 or 2 off as we go through. But at pick 120, we have Dorian Williams, the linebacker from Tulane. And even after free agency, I still really like this pick because I think they're going to need linebackers to come in and contribute. Dorian Williams, a little bit smaller, 6'2", 230, but I think he has the physicality in the run game to be able to play in a 3-4 system that Brian Flores loves to run. And then I also really like his coverage ability, and I think he's going to be more than athletic enough to cover these linebackers and drop back into zone coverage or cover these running backs and then drop back into zone coverage when he's asked to.
Yeah. Well, especially up to this point, too, Eric Kendricks is not coming back. He is signed with the Chargers. And so getting at this point in the draft, even when it was with pick 88, with Keon White, all the top tier linebackers had been gone, and there was a clear gap to the next guy. And I think getting Dorian Williams here, I think this is going to be good value for just a draft situation that the Vikings are in here, getting him at 120. So moving on, though, now to pick 160. There's only 2 more picks left, but haven't addressed the secondary yet, which is also an issue for the Vikings. A lot of older guys are moving on, or they're just getting old if they're still on contract. So, but Cameron Mitchell here, cornerback out of Northwestern. I really like this pick. I think it's good value, a developmental piece as well, and can maybe address that secondary, something that they haven't done yet. And let me check their free agency. They did sign Byron Murphy as onto the team, but other than that, haven't done too much yet with the secondary.
No, and sadly, with only 5 picks, especially we had all the first-round corners go before that 24th pick. They don't really have a lot of flexibility when it comes to addressing that secondary. And that might just have to be something that they wait until next season to do, possibly make a trade. But Cameron Mitchell was the best cornerback that was on the board. He's 6 foot, 195, played in a mostly zone scheme at Northwestern. And I think he could be a good fit for what Brian Flores wants to do in those first couple years. But he's just a developmental guy here at 160. And then lastly, the 5th pick of the Minnesota Vikings draft at pick 213, Ronnie Bell, the wide receiver from Michigan. This is more of a speed slot receiver. He had a pretty good season at Michigan. He had a really good Senior Bowl. He runs good routes, has good hands, and I just think he's a versatile piece that really could complement Justin Jefferson well.
Yeah. At this point, you're just trying to find guys that can come in and help contribute. Adam Thielen is gone, as we all know. So a guy to give Justin Jefferson a running mate to go alongside, create a little bit more diversion on that defense, so then they're not just double or triple teaming Justin Jefferson to slow down this offense. But I like the pick. I like the value here at 213. And so it's just tough really even to kind of get a sense on how good this draft is, just because there's so few picks. And the Vikings have so many needs. If they really just had to get edge rushers, then I would say it was great, because then they got it within the first 2 picks. But they need edge rushers, defensive linemen, linebackers, secondary, offensive line, a number 2 receiver. So there's so much. But then also goes to show just, I think, how good they were last year and how they were just able to fight and win games with a lot of flaws on that team.
And I like this draft. I think it's building off some of their weaknesses from last season, and it's going to help them move forward. I also like the Brian Flores signing as a Patriots fan. I think
absolutely
he's a really solid defensive coordinator. I think they did well with what they had, but again, kind of like you said, it's hard to really get a feel with only 5 picks. So, and I want to say they had a bunch of negative cap space this season as well.
We need to double check on that. So, I believe you're right though on that.
Yeah, but all in all, I think the Vikings are going to be a really competitive team moving forward, even with some of the flaws, because as long as Justin Jefferson is there, they have that elite wide receiver, and I think they're going to be competing for the division title again. So yeah. But other than that, I think we're going to wrap up this Minnesota Vikings 7-round mock draft here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe and smash that bell notification so you can get notified when Tyler and I post new content. We are trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the NFL draft. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be very much appreciated. And other than that, we will see you guys next time.